Hey guys, it's Candy. Welcome back. So it is that time of the month where I want to share with you guys the books that I have read so far in November. I try not to wait until the end of the month because if I do that, then we get to the end of the month and I'm like, wait a second, what was that book about again? So we're going to just jump right into it. The first book that I read in November is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. If you've never read any of Karen's books before, they are mystery thrillers and they are always filled with the most jaw-dropping twists. I tell you, I've yet to read a book of hers that has just not blown me away. So this particular book is about two sisters, Claire and Lydia. They haven't spoken in like 20 years. When they were little girls, their sister went missing and it basically broke up their parents' marriage. Their dad ended up committing suicide, I believe. The mom ended up, I think, getting remarried. See what I mean? Like, I'm forgetting the little bits and pieces. I believe she gets remarried and kind of moved on with her life, and the two sisters just stayed estranged. Well, here we are all these years later, and it starts off full of action right away. Claire is out to dinner with her husband, and they're in an alley, and he gets murdered. All the while, they also start discussing the fact that there is a girl that has gone missing. So it kind of brings back the memories of their sister that went missing 20 years ago. And they're like, how is this happening again? And are they connected in any way? I rated this 4 stars and I highly recommend it. Then I attempted to read Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I had read Final Girls by him and I really enjoyed that book. I read, what is it? The House Across the Lake. I did not love that one. I just thought, I don't know, it was so far-fetched and I just didn't enjoy it. This particular one had pretty good ratings, so I thought I would give it a try. I got it from the library, which also probably played into the fact that I did not finish this book. I just wasn't enjoying it from the very beginning. Basically, it is about this girl, Maggie. 25 years ago, her parents had moved into a house that ended up being haunted. Her father wrote this whole book about all the stuff that happened in this haunted house when they were living in it. He passes away, and it just so happens that the house that she thought her father sold, he still owned and left it to her. Never just been a huge fan of the whole haunted house, creepy things happening. Like, I'll watch a movie like that, but when it comes to reading a book, it's just not my thing. Then I had also got The Truly Devious, book 1 and book 2 from the library. These are young adult books and I really had high hopes. They're dark academia and I want to say I got probably about close to 100 pages in. It was good. It read very young adult to me. Like, you guys remember last month or two when I reread the Twilight books? I really felt like Twilight, the first book, read very young adult. And when we got to Breaking Dawn, the writing felt different to me. I don't know if it was just that the characters matured or if the writing was more advanced or what. This kind of felt a little Harry Potter-ish to me, which isn't bad. Like, most people that read Harry Potter love Harry Potter. If you like young adult books and you like Harry Potter, I feel like you'll like this. I just have so many books that I really want to read right now that I'm just like, not really doing it for me. I love getting books from the library because then I don't have that guilt of like, I paid for this book and I'm not going to finish it. And that's how I felt about these books. So the next book that I read was Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I have to say, I absolutely love this book. I do not love the cover. So if you feel the same way about this book, do not judge this book by its cover. I gave this book 5 stars and I actually had started this like a month ago. I read like the first chapter and I was like, eh, and then went back to it and read it in 24 hours. It was so good. So I really needed this too because I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm in a book slump. I keep reading and not finishing these books. I need something good. And so this is about Carrie Soto. She is a tennis player. She holds like all these world records. She's won the US Open. She had to take some time off because she had to have surgery on her knee. And in 1994, she's sitting in the audience watching the US Open with her father, who's actually her tennis coach, and sees another tennis player, Nikki Chan, take her title away from her, broke her records, whatever. So the book is basically about her training, learning how to play, be the best player on all the different types of tennis courts, different kinds of weather, learning how she has to change up her game to beat each player because each player plays differently, and just the kind of behind the scenes of like sports competitiveness. I just love the drive and the instinct. And she's got a really bad attitude. Like, she thinks she is the best and no one will ever beat her, but she gets beaten plenty. It's just a really good inspirational story. There's also a love interest, another guy that's like a tennis player, so there's a little bit of that in there. However, it's not like the main thing of the book. The main thing is her and the game of tennis, and while you wouldn't think that it would be interesting because I don't know crap about tennis, it was just really, really good. And then we have November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I told myself that I was gonna wait and read this book on November 9th. I read it a few days before, didn't care, still loved that I waited and read it in November. And oh my God, I could not put this book down. So I read two such good books right back to back. The title, November 9th, what it means is these two characters meet, Fallon and Ben. Just kind of like a chance circumstance. They're in this restaurant together at the same time. They meet. There's so much chemistry between the two of them. However, the very next day, Fallon is leaving LA to go to New York City to pursue her dreams. And she's just like, I can't get in a relationship right now. I'm leaving. What is the point? So they make this pact that every November 9th for however many years, 4 or 5 years, something like that, they will meet up. They're not going to exchange phone numbers. They're not going to know how to find each other. They just pick a place, and this is where we're going to meet up a year from now. And they do it multiple years in a row. But then like all this stuff starts happening. So Ben, he's writing a book that's like based on the real things that are happening in their life. Fallon, she's actually pursuing her like acting career. Two things. One, the chemistry between these characters is just written so well. I don't know how Colleen Hoover does it. Like, whatever that skill is that she has to be able to come up with the one-liners and the thoughts in their heads when they look at each other, the love and attraction and sexual chemistry, it's just so perfect. And then two, the twists. I love a romance book with a twist. I would have to say, God, it's so hard. I need some more time to pass. Obviously, I give this 5 stars. I liked It Ends With Us is still my very favorite Colleen Hoover book. I just read that last month. This might bump out Confess for number 2. We're gonna act like the ring light didn't just fall right on top of my head. Ow. The last few books we need to talk about, I read on my Kindle The Fine Print, which was book 1 of the Dreamland Billionaires. And a lot of people really like this series. Like, it's pretty high rated. And these are some spicy, well, you know, yeah, I guess it's spicy. Pretty spicy books. I just didn't love it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like the story is really predictable, moves kind of slow. So I kind of don't exactly remember what this book is about. I know you have Rowan, who's this like rich guy, billionaire. His grandfather just passed away. He's running this... She got a hairball or what, Pippa? He's running this department of this theme park, and he has to fulfill these certain requirements based off of his grandfather's will. Enter this girl, Zara. She actually works for the creative team for the theme park, where they're putting together a ton of ideas to make the theme park even better. So of course there's all this chemistry, but it's kind of like he's this rich guy who's untouchable and kind of rude all the time. And she's this really sweet girl, and so when they first start talking, they're actually getting to know each other through text. However, he pretends to be somebody else. Everything just gets really messy, but kind of just a little bit boring. I don't know. Just didn't do it for me. However, it ended really, really well. So it's like, should I read book 2? I don't know. Is book 2 better than the first one? I think a lot of people left that comment in my Instagram stories when I shared my review of this book. Then the next book I read was A Merry Little Meet Cute, which this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. I love the book. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I mean, the premise of the book is really good. You have this girl who is basically a porn star. She has an OnlyFans page, but they call it something else in the book, but it's OnlyFans basically. And then you have this actor who happens to be a huge fan of her OnlyFans page, and they have to make this kind of like Hallmark-ish sort of movie together. And it can't be like raunchy or anything, even though she has the history that she has. So they have really good chemistry, and there's a lot of like spicy parts. The storyline overall, I just felt like it was kind of like, not a lot to it. It didn't like blow me off the page, but I give it 4 stars because I did really enjoy the writing. Do I think this is like a must read, like you have to read? No, I will share a different one that I think you should read if you're looking to just read like one really good Christmas book this month. But still, this was very good. Next, I picked up Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I got this from the library, and it was a really, really long book. Much longer than it needed to be. Yeah, it's 480 some pages. It was a lot. Basically, this guy wakes up, no idea who he is, has no memory, doesn't know his job, his name, where he's at, why he's at where he is. He discovers he's in some sort of like spaceship or shuttle is what he thinks. And there's 2 people in this space with him. They're both dead. He's got tubes hooked up to all various parts of his body, including his front and his back, for obvious reasons, because he's either been in some sort of coma or time travel or something. Like he has to figure out like what is happening. So total sci-fi book. The story, they're turning this into a movie. So the story itself, great concept. However, if you're not a big sci-fi reader, but you would like to just pick up a sci-fi book, I recommend Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Way better than this. Sorry, Andy, no offense. So the Christmas book that I do highly recommend for you to read, it's called A Wonderful Lie by Carrie Aarons. I read it on my Kindle. It was actually gifted to me on my Kindle by the publisher. I don't even remember what I signed up for, but when the publisher reached out to me, I was like, yes, please, because I read the book by Carrie called Fool Me Twice, and I loved it so much. It was one of my most fun, spicy reads of the year. And this book, it has a Christmas theme, but the spice is off the charts. It actually just came out on December 2nd, and I'll just tell you briefly what it's about. So you have this guy and this girl, they both have podcasts. I love when stories have like up-to-date like social media type stuff. Not that podcast is social media, but you know what I mean. So they work for this company that the guy that had the like Monday, which is like the coveted day for podcasts, he quit. So you have this girl and her podcast, which is all about like sex and dating and relationships. And then this guy, he has his podcast. They're both vying for that Monday slot with their podcast. So the company that they work for was basically like, may the best man win. Whoever's podcast gets the most views in the month of December during the Christmas season is going to win that Monday slot. So you have this guy, he's super handsome and hot, like all girls like him type thing. And this girl, she's a little bit more like very in touch with her sexuality, and she's not afraid of having like a one-night stand type of girl, but she absolutely hates Christmas. So that part of the story is really cute. Anyways, they end up kind of being like work enemies who become friends with benefits. And it's just such a cute, fun story. I just really recommend it. I loved the ending. I loved everything about the book. I flew through it pretty quickly because the writing is like you're just reading, I don't know, Carrie writes, I haven't read all her books, so don't quote me on this, but reading 2 of her books now, her writing is like reading like a best friend's diary. It's just written so just relatable and fun, like quirky and sexy, and just, I love her books. Anyways, guys, that is gonna wrap up November's book reviews. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give me some feedback if there's some book related videos you guys want me to make. I would love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.